Just going live right now.
What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
Good evening.
Reinhard, how are you today?
I'm very well. Couldn't be happier. I mean, we've got Lito and Tony Gomez from Flor Dominicana joining us tonight at the Light 'em Up Lounge. So it's all perfect. I couldn't be happier. And well, actually, welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. We just went live over on Facebook. So to all the people joining us here at the lounge from all over the world, to all you people joining us through Facebook, welcome one and all to another fabulous session of the Light 'em Up show. And Tony and Lito, without further ado, over to you. It's such a pleasure to have you. Many thanks for taking the time and being with us today.
Thank you very much for having us. I was saying earlier, I'm starting to love these meetings. They're very interesting and just pretty cool. Given the circumstances, I obviously prefer to be in person at places and hug people and and shake hands and everything else. But in absence of that, this is great. So great idea. How often you organize these things?
So we host the Light 'em Up Lounge 3 times a week on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And we had so many fantastic people joining us already. And initially the idea was to set up a podcast for the Cigar Journal with the name Light 'em Up. But due to the coronavirus crisis, I said, let's connect all the people from different parts of the world. Let's build something where we can get together, have a cigar together, meet face to face, even if it's through Zoom. But that's sort of part of the new normal that we're all trying to customize ourselves to. So yeah, it's been a couple of weeks already, and finally we've got La Flor Dominicana. And gentlemen, I couldn't be happier. And it's 25 years for La Flor Dominicana now, right? Almost 26, I guess. But you're still both looking so fresh and young and vibrant and energetic. What's going on over there?
Well, my father's been in Miami and I've been in Dominican Republic, so I'm stress free.
I mean, gentlemen, let's face it. You're a father and son dream team, and have been for so many years now. And La Flor Dominicana with Lito and Tony Gomez has been a tremendous success story. How is it working for you as a father and son team for all these years now?
Tony, what's your answer now?
No, it's awesome, man. I'm a very blessed person. I'm a very fortunate person that I get to be in the position that I'm in, which there's no chance I would have done any of this if my father hadn't started it. So to have the opportunity to do something like this and really enjoy it, and I've heard a lot of horror stories about working with family and things like that from other people, but I've never felt that, man. I think we make a great team. We work really well. We listen to each other, and it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a very beautiful thing, and a lot of fun memories that will carry on for a long time.
Yeah, it's when Tony told me he wanted to come because when Tony got out of college, he started working with us, and then he started on the as a salesperson in the state of Florida, and I asked him if he wanted to start working with us, and then I asked him what he would like to do, if he would like to do on the production side or if he would like to do on the market side, and he chose to be on the market side. And it was great. I think it was a great decision for him because, when I started making cigars, I had no idea about the marketplace because I was never involved in sales or had relationship with retailers. I had no idea what was going on in the market. Okay, I knew what I liked, and I knew a few friends of mine that smoked cigars, and but I really didn't have much of an idea of what was going on in the marketplace. And so by Tony choosing to be in the marketplace, it gave him a chance to understand what was going on in the marketplace, understand what cigar smokers like, what retailers like, the pros and the cons of the different things that we do. And so it gave him a lot of expertise that then when he decided to, a few years later, when he asked me that he wanted to come to Dominican Republic and start in the production side, it was great for him to have had that experience with cigar, with consumers, with retailers, with other people, colleagues in the industry. And so I think it was a great experience for him before coming into the production side. And when he told me that, I was happy, and I knew I was going to be working with him hand to hand, very close to each other. And so I asked some of my colleagues, like Jose Padron and George Padron and Carlito, and I asked them, hey, how does this thing work with working father and son? I did my research, and it was different ways to see it, and there was different personalities, and they handled it in different ways. So I couldn't get like a pattern that I can say a formula to make this thing work. And but finally I made my own conclusions, and I understand that these generations, like if I'm looking at the screen right now, okay, I see guys from my generation and I see guys from Tony's generation, and I can keep cool and wild, and I can keep in shape and everything else, but I'm an old dude, and I do not communicate, or I don't appeal to the younger crowd as much as Tony would. Okay,
this is bullshit because he's way cooler than I am.
They communicate better. They understand each other better, and so it's like we can appeal to the whole spectrum of young smokers and the older ones. So I think it works out great, and I give him credit when he's trying to do something. Sometimes, I hate the colors that he chooses, and I don't like the style he chooses, but you know what? Why do colors exist? They exist because somebody liked them. Okay, so the color you hate, somebody loves it. So, so, I give him a chance, I let him work. Sometimes if I really hate something he's doing, I let him know, you're wasting your time. It's not gonna fly. Okay, it doesn't happen very often, but I pretty much give him a chance to develop himself and to create, pretty much. So it's been working out good, really good.
And I really think, Lito, this speaks a lot for you as a person, as a businessman, and as a not just professionally but also personally, that you could accept having Tony in there and going his own path and finding like his own ways around doing things, but give him the opportunity, but still accept that things might be different and might change, but still keeping a positive attitude towards that, which is not very, very common, especially with family companies, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I admire the most about my father is that, he doesn't have to listen to me because he built this thing without me way before I was ever involved. But he does. And, sometimes he agrees with me, sometimes he doesn't, but he always listens to me and he respects my opinion, and I think that's why it works so well,
This problem I can't fix. Can't do nothing about it.
Lito, I'm sure you recalled the story a a couple thousand times in your career, but it's absolutely mesmerizing to think of how you actually started in the premium cigar industry. Because as you mentioned, you don't have like the huge background and growing up around the fields, and then like being a tobacco farmer for almost 50 years now, but you had a different path in life.
Yeah, it's it was very hard at the beginning. Like you try. Most people, that want to get into the cigar business with the cigar brand, the first thing they do is contract the cigar manufacturer to make cigars for them. But when this idea about making cigars, getting into the cigar business came about, and I decided that even though it sounded really stupid, it didn't make any sense when the idea came about, and so I had this voice inside of me that was telling me to go ahead and do it, even though it didn't make sense. And so I listened to that voice and I say, you know what, I'm going to give this a chance. But, I say, I'm not going to get somebody to make cigars for me. We're going to make the cigars ourselves. And that's when it got really complicated. And I thought it was going to be like a piece of cake. I can do this. I mean, this is not rocket science. It was not easy. I mean, it was like really, really complicated at the very beginning. The learning curve was pretty long and high. And you will find me at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, couldn't sleep, walking around in my apartment trying to figure out how I was going to fix a problem that I had the next day, because I had no idea how to fix it. And needless to say, we made thousands and thousands of cigars that were unsmokable, that were really bad. They had good tobacco in them, but they were very inconsistent. They were too tight, or they were too loose, or they were bad construction. And I would smoke them as a consumer, and I knew what was wrong with them, but I couldn't figure out how to fix the problem. So it was more than 40,000 cigars that we made that I would not attempt to put those on the market. So finally, I found a new supervisor that started to work at the factory, and from the first day, the guy started, and the production started to come out consistently good every day, and I smoked a lot of cigars every day. And I was very, very happy with the consistency of the manufacturing aspect of the cigar. And so at that time is when I decided that we will bring the cigars into the market, and destroyed all the cigars that were badly made. All the mistakes I destroyed, I burned them. And so it was complicated. Then again, I think the only, people ask me a lot of times, why, because during this time in Dominican Republic, there was more than 100 new manufacturers that opened up. And I'm the only one that's still there, that survived after the cigar boom. And, people ask me, how did it happen? Why? What did you do? And the only thing I can think of is just that, like, from the first time that I walked into a tobacco warehouse, I just fell in love with the smell. I fell in love with the whole energy. I smell, I touch, I look the tobacco leaves, and that's what I do all day long. And that's what I was doing, and I was enjoying it very much. And I got very much acquainted with the tobacco leaves, and I couldn't see enough leaves in a day. I mean, it was just amazing. It was just something that I enjoyed very much. And that fact that I fell in love with tobacco I think, is the only thing that helped me to have success in what I was trying to accomplish. And you know, I just fell in love with the whole process, the manufacturing, the sorting, the fermentation, everything was pretty cool to me. And you know, I just fell in love with it. That's pretty
Looking
much it.
back now, because you had to work so hard for it, and because you didn't have all the experience, would you see that as an advantage now when looking back, just because you put that extra little bit of effort and energy into it?
You know, I think the advantage that I had, because you know, believe me, I'm very close, very good friends with you know, 99% of all the manufacturers, and they are all very hardworking people. It doesn't matter if they came from generations in their families. All of them work very hard, and I have a tremendous respect for all my colleagues. There's not a lot of us in the world, and they're very hard, simple people, hardworking people, and I don't think I work any harder than anybody else. You know, I think that I, my advantage maybe was that I didn't have a grandfather or a father that was doing uh, certain things at the factory at any of the process, which is a long process, in a certain way, and I needed to keep that tradition alive. So I was pretty much free to create or to get out of the box, and that gave me a little bit of a freedom to do things my own way, always respecting the tradition, because there's some things that you can never change. It like, you know, fermentation, for example, just to give you an example. There's nothing you can do about fermentation. There's nothing you can do about speed it up. You can make a pile of tobacco, you can make it round, you can make a square, rectangular, very fancy, okay, or very simple. Nothing changes the time that, you know, the tobacco is going to need to be ready to be smoked. Nothing changes that, okay? So there's a lot of things in tradition you can't change, okay? You can ornament them, but you cannot change it. It is what it is, and the leaves will decide when they're ready, and they will let you know. And so there's a lot of things that we have to respect as a tradition. And then again, within that, you know, I felt very free to innovate and do
I
my
think,
own.
you know, one of the
And,
things
so,
that I take the most pride in with La Flor Dominicana is that La Flor Dominicana is different. It's unique in the packaging, in the shapes, in the sizes. You know, my father invented a shape that was patented. And that goes back to what you were saying about there's no tradition to follow. You made your own, and we continue to make our own. But that's the cool thing about La Flor to me, is that it's unique in its own way, and it's not trying to be a classic brand, because you know we're only 25 years old, and we haven't been around for 100 years like some other brands. So you know, I don't see why you would try to recreate something that was already great, already exists, when you could just do something new and something different. And I think that's one of the most defining things about LFD, you know, and that goes to not having that tradition and just creating your own, you know. I think that was a huge advantage.
That's actually a very good point, Tony. And by the way, Jose Blanco, our dear friend, the professor, just commented over on Facebook, and he had a question for you, Tony. How hard is it to convince Lito?
It depends. It depends on his mood that day. How many espressos he's had. It depends on a lot of things, but I don't know. You know, you know, sometimes, for example, I could be working on new design or whatever, and I might have it ready to show him, but you know, I walk into the factory that day, and you know, sometimes you walk in there and you hear him yelling already. You know, maybe that's not a good day to show it to him. So you wait for a good day. You know, you walk in there and he's smiling and he's happy. That's when you show it to him. You know?
Going back to what you just mentioned before about not having that huge tradition and being a bit more flexible and free with what you wanted to do, did it feel like that for you always? But when you started, just before you graduated, because obviously you had other plans first to probably go more into the screenwriting or the film school and all that. At what point did you have that epiphany when you were like, this is actually really cool and I want to be part of it?
When I realized that this is the perfect place to be creative and let that energy out, you know. I've always known that whatever I do in my life, whatever I wanted to do, it was going to involve, being creative, you know. And when I realized that that's something I can do here, and I have the freedom to do that here, that was very important to me, you know.
You
And
know,
actually,
it was, it's funny, like almost a year after Tony started to work, let me turn this thing off. After Tony started working as a salesman with the company, um, I asked him, Tony, how do you like your job, and what do you like about it? And then what he told me, it was, you know what, Dad, I think this is the coolest job. I can go to any city in Florida. I can drive for an hour, and I'm looking forward to get to that city or to that town because I know I'm gonna see so and so, and I have friends in every city in the state, and I get to the state and I get hooked up with them, and it's people that I love, and I just love to get to all these different places and hang out with my friends. And that answer that day, it showed me that Tony was going to stay in the industry, that he really loved the industry because of that answer. He could have told me, hey, money's really good or whatever, and I'm selling a lot of cigars. That would have done it for me. But what he answered to me, his answer, he was just falling in love with the people in the industry. So when he answered me that, I said, well, he's going to stay in the industry forever. So that was a really good indication very early on.
Yeah,
but still,
yeah.
I guess it was very important for you though to sort of throw him in the deep at the beginning and have him carve his own path within the
I got
industry.
thrown into the wolves. I got thrown completely into the wolves. When I first started as a sales rep, because we always have a sales president who's the boss of the sales reps, and at the exact moment when I started, we were between vice presidents, so we actually didn't have anybody. So basically, they gave me a giant notebook with all the customers, and it was just like, go, figure it out. And I didn't have like a direct boss explaining to me what to do or anything. So it was definitely a trial by fire, But I guess it wasn't that tough, man. As long as you like people and you got a good product to sell, it's pretty easy,
And Tony, I think you have a very interesting story regarding your first cigar that you shared with your dad, right? Because that was also sort of like throwing you in the deep.
Yeah, I think the first time I really smoked a cigar, I must have been, I would say 16, I think. Um, what's the legal smoking age in Europe?
14.
Anyway, so I was like 16 or so. I think I was on summer vacation from school, so I went down to Dominican Republic to spend a week down at the factory with my dad. And we got to the office one day. I think it was the first day we got to the office. Sit down, get a coffee. He passes me a cigar, and he says, "Cut it and light it. Today you're gonna learn how to smoke a cigar." So yeah, I cut it, I light it. I didn't even know what cigar it was. I remember now it was a test blend for the LG, for the first LG, which is a really strong cigar. And so I cut it, I light it, I'm puffing on it. I don't really know what I'm doing. And my dad tells me, Tony, if you really wanna enjoy the cigar, if you really wanna feel the flavors, everything, you have to inhale it. And it sounded a little strange to me at the time, but what did I know? He was a cigar pro. I wasn't. So I tried inhaling the cigar, and I proceeded to spend the next 5 minutes or so on my knees in front of the toilet, just puking my ass off. And the whole time I'm throwing up, I could hear him from the office laughing. So I walked back in the office and I'm like, dude, you're such an asshole. And he goes, and I'll never forget this. He goes, Tony, now you know how not to smoke a cigar. So anyway, I hope to have a son one day, and I'll do the same thing to him.
From my side, it was fun. I love it.
Oh, I could tell. Yeah. You're having a blast.
Lito, I was wondering, how does it feel for you personally, ever since Tony joined the company and you've been working side by side? How do you think the company has changed due to the impact that Tony has had?
It's a great impact. Tony's very active in social media, and it's like the company got better known, had more access to more people, to more cigar smokers. I think it was a very positive change for us, and his new ideas, and he's done great blends for the company. I mean, his blends have been very successful in the marketplace. I'm very happy with it, and it's a little bit of a different style than mine, but the consumers have agreed with the way he blends, and he has done very well. Yeah.
I think that is actually a wonderful point that you mentioned, that you both sort of have your individual style, and then still you manage to bring it together and make it La Flor Dominicana in the end. What would you say are your two individual approaches? Where do you sort of head into different direction, and then how do you bring it back together again?
That's an interesting one. I think we both like full-bodied cigars, but I think my dad's blends maybe tend to be a little bit on the spicier side, more sharper flavors, whereas I might tend to go a little bit to the darker flavors, like the cacao and the roasted coffee, and he's a lot more pepper and different spices. But definitely we both like a strong cigar. We both like to feel that we're smoking a cigar. I've never really seen my father smoke a mild cigar. I never smoked mild cigars. But yeah, I think we vary a little bit when it comes to the flavor style.
And I actually when I started making cigars, I was a smoker of a typical Dominican cigar. Connecticut shade, Dominican filler and binder, the typical cigar that was made in Dominican Republic for years, for decades, and that was my preference for taste of a cigar. And they were obviously very mild. You go from a Dunhill to Macanudo to Fonseca. Those were the cigars that I like to smoke, and they were all very mild, and they were very mild by design, because that the school of blending of the older guys in the cigar manufacturers, it was that they liked aromatic cigars, but very mild in the palate, and that was a trend in Dominican Republic, a school of blending basically. And it took a long time for that to change. As I was, as time was going by, my palate was evolving into and asking for more body in a cigar. So it was a pretty nice evolution. Obviously, I was trying to blend stronger cigars with the Dominican tobacco that I would find in the open market, and it wasn't possible. I couldn't blend cigars that had fuller body. And that was what triggered my decision to start farming in 1997, about 3 years after we started, because I just couldn't find enough Ligero in the open market in the Dominican Republic, and so I had to start traveling and spending a lot of time with farmers in Nicaragua, in Cuba, in Honduras, and learning from the farmers, and getting a lot of information before I actually went into farming. So it took me about a year of traveling and meeting with farmers, and farmers were amazing. We'll spend hours and hours in Pinar del Rio, sitting in the porch of somebody's house, and all these old farmers, they all brag to each other, and they have such a pride of being farmers, of being the best farmer in the area, and everything that each one of them was so proud of what they were doing, and how they were doing cultivating the tobacco. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, hours and hours just talking, drinking cheap rum, and just talking about cultivating tobacco. It was it has such a great memories of all that. I mean, it's amazing. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys are not there anymore. They were all back then, and many of them disappeared or retired. But amazing people, and I learned a lot.
They live on through you.
We're bragging to each other, and I didn't even say a word. I was just listening, every little word that they say.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that La Flor Dominicana at one point was a mild cigar manufacturer. That's how this company started, and it's hard to believe considering where we are now and the reputation we have. But La Flor made mild cigars for years.
I would love to go back to the farming in just a second, but we have so many great questions coming in, and one was actually a follow-up question on your two different influences and inspirations that you bring to the table from Bruce. Bruce, it's such a pleasure to have you. Please bring it up.
There we go. I unmiked myself. Okay, what cigar would you say captures both of you guys' styles? So you're talking about, when you get into the fuller body cigars, a lot of times you have the spice and you have the roasted flavor, I guess, that Tony likes, the spice that Lito likes. What cigar captures both of those flavors all in one cigar?
All in one cigar.
That's a good one.
Specifically,
I'll go for the Capítulo Dos.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Capítulo Dos and maybe La Volcada. They both have, I think, both of those elements in them. Yeah.
Was that because both of you guys worked on getting what you wanted in that cigar, or did it just come about that way?
Yeah,
they just came about that way.
Came to me with the original blend, and I say this tastes like shit. I don't like it, and put a different wrapper on it, and probably that's how it happened.
Usually, how this works is that like I'll make a blend, and work on it, because I don't like to show it to them until it's finished, and then finally I get the right blend. Like, okay, I'm ready. I give him the cigar, he smokes it, says, yeah, it's great. And then, okay, cool. And then like 2 months later, I'll be like, all right, so we're ready to put this into production. He's like, give me another one. And he smokes it. Say, yeah, I don't like it. You told me you liked it. Yeah, I don't like it. It happens every time. It drives me nuts. But I do remember the first blend I did was Chapter 1. And that one I did totally by myself. It was like when I first moved to the factory. And like Chapter 1 was the cigar where I kind of just started to learn all the different processes. It was kind of my learning experience, And So I think I finally got the blend. I was happy with it. I think this is the one. We went out to dinner that night, and I brought one to smoke, and you know, I lit it up. I was smoking it, and then I passed it to him to see what he thought about it, and he took a puff. He took another puff, and he said, "Yeah, I like it." And then he gave the cigar that he was smoking. He gave me that cigar, and he kept the chapter one, and that's when I knew, okay, he
Okay, that's a winner.
he liked it.
Another question from Nayat.
Yes, hello everyone. This is Najat Abdo from Lebanon. Thank you, Reinhard, for this beautiful session. Hello, Lito. Hello, Tony. So,
Great to see you.
West Fashion, nice to see you too. So back to 2018, we were at Pro Cigar Festival in Santiago, and we had the chance to visit your beautiful factory and plantation with you, Tony, and Miss Ines. So you were experimenting different types of shade percentage. If I still remember, up to 70%. So what kind of result did you get?
Great memory, great question. I'm changing the whole shade of the farm to 60%. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with the results that we got. Some of the silkiest tobacco that I ever seen in my life came out of that. This year, we have that tobacco drying in the curing barns now, and it just looks amazing. So yes, I'm switching completely the percentage of shade. There's one thing, and you know, some of you have been in our farm, typically, if you go to Cuba or Nicaragua or Honduras, pretty much everybody in the trade growing tobacco wrappers, they use 30% shade. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty much a traditional staple in the industry. So here's what happens. The place where the farm is, it's an area of the Cibao Valley, which is the driest area of the whole valley. Okay. Why did I choose that place? Well, I chose that place because I love the tobacco filler that came from that area. Okay. To me, that was the most powerful, the most flavorful, the tobacco that I really like from the whole valley of the Cibao. It was from that specific area. Okay, so when I went to look for land for farming tobacco, I went straight to that area and started looking for land. But here's the thing: when I, in the year 2000, when I decided to start to try to grow wrappers, the fact that it was the area was so dry and it was so hot and there was so many hours a day of sun and so many days of sun during the growing season. It can be raining anywhere in the rest of the valley, but it will be sunny in the place where we have the farm. It's so very little rain, very little cloudiness. And what that type of microclimate does, it's a more difficult to get this smooth texture in the wrapper leaves and to get thinner tobacco leaves. So if I have more sun and more wind and more dryness in the microclimate, it doesn't make any sense that I use the same shade that they use in other climates that are more humid, that that are more times of cloudiness in the sky. It's a whole different area, and you can use the same shade and try to obtain the same results as they do in other countries with a very different climate. Like I'll give you an example. In Ecuador, for example, when you hear the Ecuador sun grown many times. Wrappers. The fact is that everything in Ecuador is sun grown because nobody uses shade in Ecuador. Why? Because it's cloudy all the time in the tobacco growing region.
True.
There's never sun in there. It's always cloudy 90% of the time. So nobody uses shade there because they have a natural shade. And that's why you get these very silky textures and beautiful colors from different type of seeds in Ecuador. That's like the perfect climate to grow tobacco. But in my specific area, I'm the total opposite. So one day it just came to me, you know what, I'm going to try to do it with, higher shade. And what I actually did, after we ended up with the seedlings in the one of the greenhouses, I filled it up with dirt, with the soil, and I grew the tobacco plants inside the greenhouse, and the results are amazing. I mean, it was just I was fascinated with it, and I've been doing this for 3 years already, and I just like it more and more every year. It was more at a testing level. Now I'm totally convinced that this is the way I'm going to go, and I'm going to make the whole shade area of the farm with that percentage. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to hear. All the best. Thank you.
It's wonderful, and I'm grateful that we have people joining us from all over the place. And we have a couple of questions from Rahul from India.
Hey chaps, thanks Reinhard for hosting this, as always.
My
Tony,
pleasure.
Lito,
Hey, Raul.
pleasure. So
Pleasure.
I've got sorry, go on. No, thanks. I've got a couple of questions. I'll keep it short. Quick, first one. You're obviously in the Middle East now, and you're expanding out of US and Europe. When are you heading towards Asia, which may be the smallest markets like India, Cambodia, but also, we're looking for LFD.
Yeah. Expansion's always in the back of our minds. But it's little by little, especially, right now, due to the circumstances with coronavirus and everything going on. Our factory was closed for a month, and it's only operating at 25% capacity right now. So obviously right now expansion isn't exactly, it's not the best time for it. We're just hoping to get through this, and once life is a little back to normal, then yes, it's definitely something we want to do. There's a lot of markets pending, but we're not a huge factory, we have to take care of our current customers first, and then little by little, yes, we do plan on expanding everywhere we can, and it's something we've been doing for the last, what would you say, about 8 years or so. I think we've expanded pretty significantly internationally, and it's something we're going to continue to do. And absolutely, yeah, India is a place we want to be. When the time is right, we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing for us to be in many countries, to make La Flor an international brand. I'm really happy about it. Go back like 10, 15 years, 20 years, and there was pretty much in most of your countries there was a tradition of smoking only Cuban cigars, and then little by little you see that consumers in many different regions of the world, they started adventuring into these new flavors that would come from different countries that manufacture cigars, and this mind-opening, it has been a blessing. I mean, I'm truly fascinated. I'm very happy with what's happening with consumers pretty much all over the world, and opening their minds to these new flavors and new characteristics of cigars. I mean, something really nice is happening now. I'm very happy for it.
Beautiful.
I think if the technology to do this was available 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to get this Zoom full of Europeans and people from the Middle East to tune in, because they wouldn't have cared,
I know,
The Dominicans, what is that? Never heard of it.
So basically, I'll continue picking up my cigars from home in London, and hopefully I'll maybe go to Dubai and pick them up. One last other question. So what is your view on this ash hole, all this ash club, where the biggest ash wins and all this?
I mean, whatever people, if people have fun doing it, and it brings the community together, and well, why not? It's great. It's great. There's the
They're fun.
things that people have fun doing.
I remember we did one during Pro Cigar a few years ago.
Oh my
Remember,
God.
Tony?
Oh yeah, because I remember because I was the MC of that. It was bad.
They were all smoking the Knox. And I remember there was some people that started puking. We had these ice buckets that we had to bring ice buckets to people that were throwing up.
It was because it was the longest ash after 45 minutes. So since it was time constrained, people were smoking really fast. And it just became a symphony of vomit. Just as there was people puking everywhere. The hotel staff was rushing to get anything they could for them to puke in. The guy that won actually puked like 3 times. Remember, I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend, but she was holding his hair back while he was puking. He was holding the cigar up. He was keeping the ash, and then he would keep smoking. That guy deserved it, man.
I remember there was one guy that forgot to take the cigar band off. Okay, so now he's getting to a cigar band, and he can't take it off there. Now he's gonna lose. That ash is gonna go completely. And this guy smoked through a cigar band. I mean, it was like it was horrible. Poor guy, man.
And he puked his ass off too, and he smoked through that cigar band, and he came in second place. I remember, like, I felt so bad for him.
Hey, at least you got second. Now, come on, something better than nothing.
Yeah.
Now, since we've been to Lebanon and now India, right, my brother from Dubai, it's always great to have you on the call. You had a couple of questions. Please fire away.
Gents, Lito, Tony, always a pleasure.
How's it going, brother?
It's going great. So good to see you. So good to see you. Loving
Likewise.
the cigars, enjoying them. They're reflecting really great in the market. And my God, we really got it done right before this whole lockup and all that stuff. So we've done a great job. Yeah.
Very good timing.
Patience is a virtue, as they say.
Yeah.
Look, love the story. We spent a lot of time with you guys that we really appreciated, and we thank you for your hospitality. Amazing. The cigars are just great, and we continue to experience them and enjoy them and discover them. But I have a couple of questions that are in reflection of all the success and all the amazing tobacco you've been producing and amazing cigars you've been presenting to the market. The Andalusian Bull, pressure or pleasure? I mean, because I don't want to sound. I mean, it's a very typical question because it's exactly like a 3 Michelin star chef or something like that. Do you think you have to maintain that, or do you think you're already there and you don't have to prove anything else anymore? Or
the Andalusian Bull is a magnificent pain in the ass. It's awesome and it's also stress. It's both.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
and,
it is very difficult to handle a situation in which everybody wants a cigar, and you cannot possibly supply everybody. And you can use different formulas in how you're gonna ship, okay, or who you're gonna ship the cigars, the few cigars that come to Miami every week. And there's no way that you can possibly supply everybody and make everybody happy. Either way you go, I mean, whatever formula you use, trying to be as fair as possible for everybody, it's impossible to make everybody happy and send enough cigars. I mean, it's you're blessed to be able to have a situation like that with one of your cigars, and at the same time, you worry because you have so many people that that have been supporting our brand for years and years, and
right.
Then it's sometimes you have this retailer here, and then a couple of miles down the road, this retailer is without him. It's out of the cigar, And then a retailer down the road, a couple of miles, got a shipment with a few boxes, and now the one that doesn't have it say, you're being unfair to me because you're shipping to the guy that is a couple of miles from me, and it happened a lot, situations like that, and but it's like Tony say, it's it's a blessing and a problem at the same time. If you put it on a scale of what it meant for our company, the blessing is a lot heavier than the negative, than the minus. I think we were blessed, and obviously, when those of you who know us, know very well that I don't mess around with plans in order to sell more cigars. When I don't have one specific tobacco to make a cigar, I just don't make it. The decision is always easy for us. That doesn't change ever at the factory. We don't have the right tobaccos for that blend. We're not making it. Sorry. That's how we can stay true to the people that like our cigars. I can't cheat on them.
Which brings me to the next question. That's a very valid point, which brings me to the next question. And that's a point that we discussed repeatedly when we were spending time with you, which is the capacity. And you always were very adamant on the fact that if our capacity is X, we're going to stick to X. And to maintain our quality, we will never try to increase that capacity. Is your strategy and is your vision still within that, or are you actually planning to expand the factory and increase your capacity, or are you just simply humbly happy and contained with where you are today?
Good question, and we just did a pretty big expansion. We pretty much went from 3.5 million cigars to 4.5 million last year, and let me tell you that increasing your capacity, increasing your production, it's a long process. First of all, when you plan it, you have to start to accumulate tobacco before you even have the space to do it. Okay, it just takes a lot of accumulation. We work with a lot of inventory, and then when you know that you're going to have the continuity. And then you start looking for actually, how am I going to do it? You start the logistics of it, where it's going to be a space, and and trying to hire more rollers and more people that support the rollers work. But the whole process scared the shit out of me, to tell you the truth. It's complicated. It's scary. It's a lot more than goes on, more than usual. So and you don't want to lose sight of the things that can go wrong because you're bigger. So it's a complicated process, and so we did an expansion last year, and we're going to stay at that size for another 2-3 years or something like that, and then I will look again into it. But it was a complicated process. It was a lot of work.
It's interesting because the Andalusian Bull, that was January of 2017 that it was announced as #1, and as you can imagine, that year there was a massive boom in sales and demand for us. So that ended up being our best year ever in our history at the time. And then in 2018, the demand continued to grow, right? And we made just as many cigars in 2018 as we did the previous year, but they were selling a lot faster. So everybody thought, like I heard, the sales reps would tell us rumors that they hear that, that we're selling the company, or that my father was sick in the hospital, that, we have all sorts of problems, that we can't meet demand. But we actually made just as many cigars and shipped just as many. They just sold a lot faster, so people thought they weren't available, that we weren't making any. So, and it wasn't until 2019 where the expansion was finished and we were able to increase production. And then, we were able to we shipped a ton of back orders and things that we have been accumulating over the last couple of years. But that the impact of that rating is astronomical, man. It's unbelievable.
Well deserved, that's for sure. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Looking forward for part 2. Rocky Stallion.
Right, many
Excellent.
thanks for your question. And you got a great new haircut and new glasses.
I know. Glasses, I'm a freak. I collect glasses, but haircut, finally, the barbers are open, and I think
Are
I
there
was one of the
barbers
first
over
people
there?
that- Yeah. I was just like,
I
jump
haven't
on
been
it.
able to cut my hair in 2 months.
Man.
Well done, you, right. And
Thank
for all
you.
of you guys, if you haven't checked out the Leaf Master Cigars Dubai, please do. They're doing an amazing job over there. Awesome
you.
Instagram account and wonderful work that you
Thank
do,
you.
guys. Big
I'm
shout out.
humbled.
How
Thank you.
are, how
Very
are
kind.
your smoking habits? How have they changed during these circumstances, this mess? How has it changed?
Oh.
You guys are smoking more at home. Has it changed a lot, or?
Look, but for me, if I may start, for me, we have over 200 cigars, 200 types of vitolas in the shop. Abdul and I decided that we need to pretty much to make sure that we smoke each and every one of them. The second thing that we want to do is I have a humidor in the house with over 1,000 cigars, things that I did not know and I forgot that I had. So what we wanted to do was to rediscover our humidor and smoke things that we totally forgot that we've had. And it's been great. I'm unfortunately not allowed to smoke at home, so inside the house, so I'm cold drawing today. But it's been great. We're smoking more than the usual and we're loving it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, Lito, in India, I mean, to be honest, we've had severe lockdown. We can't even step out. And Riyadh, you're lucky. You've got a fantastic haircut. I just had to shave mine off because mine was like all over the place. But you know, from
I know,
smoking,
I saw a picture of you and I'm like, I swear he has hair. What happened? There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's all the stress.
Oh, I get it.
But you know, I think from smoking, we've got about 106 different bands in the club, and we've gone from smoking maybe 3 in a week to smoking 15 in a week. All the members. And right now, I mean, I had a humidor here which had 800 plus sticks, and we've got around 6,500 sticks in the store, and we're down now to about 386, 387, and there's no imports coming till September.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow. Huh.
That's challenging.
Yeah, you feel my pain?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, it's not easy.
gentlemen, I was curious. Lito, you have a background in jewelry. Tony, you had always that creative mind, and you were really into the filmmaking. You actually thought about attending film schools, right? Do you still factor that in with making your cigars, or would you say that all these past interests of yours and your previous occupations sort of play into the way you now go about creating new cigars, new lines, new blends?
I think he's still writing a book. He's writing
Little
a book
by little.
about me, and with stuff that cannot be published until I die.
Problem is, you'll probably outlive me, so I don't know if we'll ever see that published. If you outlive me, I'll give you the rights to it. So you do what you want with it.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, you know, I started playing music at a very young age, and you know, I got into writing, and you know, I've always just loved anything creative, and I think that's just part of your personality at some point. So I think in one way or another, it affects anything you do. You know, I think I have a different take a lot of times on like packaging and designs and things like that. A little different from my dad. He's very creative in his own way. I am in my way. But yeah, I think, you know, that you always have that with you. It's part of who you are, you know.
Lito, how about yourself and that background with the jewelry store that you used to earn?
You know, I think I had to get creative my whole life. Okay. Because, you know, I come from very, very, very far in culturally, economically, it's to be where I am today, um, where I'm coming from and the way I grew up. I had to get very creative. I had to, you know, there was not a path to follow. There was not a script. I had to make it up as I go. And you know, I done many things through my life. And I never had what I found by the time I was 40 years old that I started this company. Okay. I did things for, you know, just because you do things because you have to work. And you do different things, especially when you don't have an education. And you don't have money, you don't have education, you don't have contacts. So you know, I've done so many things through my life, but never found something that I fell in love with. Never found something that, you know, that made me get out of bed in a rush in the morning and run out of my house just to go do what I do. And that happened to me by the time I was 40 years old. You know, it took a long time for that to happen, and I was blessed enough to find that. Just the fact that I was able to find that and feel it that way every day, okay, that I just want to get to my place of work and start enjoying my day. And it was a great blessing in my life. I thought that I would, and you know, you have this thing that you hear all the time, you know, if you find something that you enjoy, or if you enjoy your work, you never have to work another day in your life. You hear these things, but you know, you're not experiencing that. And then, you know, one day you just find it, and now you know, you have this thing in your life that just fills up your life and it makes you happy just to go do what you do. And then so it's, you know, I cannot be more thankful of, you know, the last 26 years of my life, just because I found, you know, true love in what I do. But I did have to get creative. And imagine, I knew there was something for me somewhere, and I didn't know what. So I had to reinvent myself every time I could. So the creative part has always been there. And every little switch that I made in my life, it took me to what I am today, or what I'm sitting here in front of all of you today, and which I'm honored and I'm blessed to be sitting here. But there was a lot of things that happened, you know, for me to be able to sit down here in front of you. And some of the things were really bad things. Like, you know, the day I got robbed in the jewelry store, I thought it was the worst thing that happened in my life. Little that you know, I'm here today because of that. If those guys never came into the store to rob the jewelry store, I wouldn't be here today. So sometimes, you know, there are things that, you know, happen to you, you think is the worst that ever happened. That's a horrible thing. And guess what? Maybe not. Maybe it takes your life in a different direction.
That is such an inspiring statement that you just shared with us. And it totally resounds with me, because I went through similar experiences in my life, and still it takes so much courage to truly follow your passion and follow that path, and get creative, reinvent yourself, and then really follow that passion. Because I feel like a lot of people, they're stuck in where they are in life and might be miserable about it, but taking that extra step and reinventing yourself over and over again, is something that I absolutely take my hat off to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sayel, you had a question. Please bring it up.
Yes, pleasure to meet you guys, the guys behind LFD Cigars. I had a question, but unfortunately, Dubai was ahead of us. Right? He asked me about the Andalusian Bull again. With like, I don't have the knowledge of the New World cigars, but I hear a lot from my customers at the shop. Like, there's a difference years in the Andalusian Bull. Like, the 2016 is much way better from the 2017 and beyond. And the problem is, I tried it, but it's the same. It's a really great cigar, to be honest. So I don't see the difference. Why the customers like complaining like the 2016 is better than. Do you have like an explanation for that?
It's the exact same cigar. We have not changed the blend. There's nothing different about it. Cigars, there's a lot of psychology involved in cigars, and these are things that always happen. You always hear people say that they were better this year or that year. The cigar hasn't changed. I smoke it all the time. It's just as good as it's ever been. It's funny. I have one of my good friends who works with a different company. I won't name him or anything, but they have one of their cigars. They wanted to repackage it. They wanted to change the packaging. Nothing changed about the cigar, just the ring and the box. And they repackaged it. They sent it out with the new packaging, and then they get a barrage of comments saying, "Oh, the cigar changed. It sucks now. It's different," or but it's the same exact cigar. It's there's a lot of psychology in these things. Nothing has changed about the Bull. Nothing has changed about it.
Exactly the same. But what about, could you tell us the story when you won the 2016 Cigar Aficionado, the celebration story about it, something like that? Because I heard the story that you didn't know about it. Is that right?
You want to go first?
Go ahead, Tony.
So my story was funny, because Cigar Aficionado does not tell you if you got number one. So we find out at the exact moment that everybody else finds out. So that was at the end of December, and I was in Uruguay on vacation with my mother and the family out there. And a few weeks before that, we had just sent out our first shipment to a new distributor in Argentina that we were working with, right? And Argentina's a little complicated. The cigars stay they take a while to get released from customs and all that. It takes like 2 to 3 weeks. So, we sent it and we thought the timing was going to fit just right. So I was going to be there on vacation. I was just going to hop over, take a little boat from Montevideo to Buenos Aires, and we were going to do some events. So I got to Uruguay, and the day that I was crossing over to Buenos Aires, or the day before, they had just released their order from customs, and they had access to the cigars, and they were in the retailer. So we were ready to do the event. It was just by a hair that we made it, So I was in the boat crossing from Montevideo to Buenos Aires, and that's about like a 2 to 3 hour little ride. And at one point, when you're kind of in the middle of the river, I wasn't connected to the cell phone towers in Uruguay, and I wasn't close enough to Argentina yet. So I was in no man's land. I had no reception, nothing. And it just so happens that at that time is when Cigar Aficionado released the list, and I was totally unaware of what was going on. So, as when we got closer to Buenos Aires and my phone connected to the cell phone towers, I just saw 1,000 text messages all pouring at once, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on, And right then I get a phone call from my stepmother, Ines. And so I answer the phone and say, "Hey, Ines, what's up? What's going on?" And if for anybody that knows Ines, she's very stoic. She's not a very emotional person. She keeps her composure, and I've never heard her like this in my life. She's yelling. She goes, Tony, oh my God, congratulations. We did it." And what are you talking about? What the hell's going on? She said, we got number one. And I said, holy shit. I checked my text messages. I had 1,000 people, congratulating and everything. And then, I got to Buenos Aires. I got off the boat. And as I get off the boat, Fernando, our distributor in Argentina, is waiting for me with the biggest smile on his face. And he goes, Tony, you have no idea how incredible this is. This is the first time in the history of Argentina that we're at the forefront of the cigar world. You know, you just got #1, you're here, we have bowls, and we got an event tonight. And so we had an awesome event that night. There was probably like 60, 70 people, sold out of all the bowls they had. And it was a cool story. It was great timing. It was a nice little experience.
Yeah, I on my side, I was at the factory just doing my normal work, and Ines called me, and she was, like Tony said, she was very happy. She was screaming and laughing, and telling me congratulations, and that we had this #1 cigar, and it took me totally by surprise. I mean, I was not even following the website or anything. I was not even aware of the day that it was the #1 cigar was going to be released. The news that day, so it took me completely by surprise. I mean, so she told me what happened, and needless to say, I was extremely happy, extremely pleased. It is like, how should I explain this? We fight a lot in every day at the factory, because it's a lot of shit that comes up every day. The cigar factory is a shit show. You can't put anything on automatic pilot. You're working with people that are doing, making cigars with their hands. It's you working with tobacco leaves that are alive, that, that they are not all the same. And you open a bell of tobacco and it's not supposed to be what it was supposed to be. There's a lot of shit that comes up every day, and there's a lot of mistakes that are made by people that work at the factory, okay? And then you have to fight every day, and you get upset, and you do it all because because you need to protect your brand, you need to protect your name, you need to protect the people that are gonna sit down somewhere to enjoy that cigar, and they expect something from it. And there's a lot of fights every day to accomplish what we accomplish every day. Every day is a new fight, and everything that is done is not done to save money or to make money. Everything that is done to keep what we do, the integrity of our cigars and the name of our company. And finally, something like this happened, and it's like, wow, every bad time, every scream, every fight was worth it. You got awarded, you got this thing that it just it was a great honor, so I remember I went to the rolling room, and I was very excited, and broke the news to the rolling room, and all the rollers started screaming, and everybody was super happy. And I ordered beer for everybody, so everybody started to get drunk that day at the rolling room. And immediately I had a meeting with the supervisors and explained to them and everybody that it's involved, the connection with the office in Miami to the factory, and explained that there was going to be a lot of pressure, and that I was the only one that could put pressure, and I never put pressure. We never make one more cigar that we can. Okay, so I made everything clear to all the supervisors there, and then had a great meeting, and there was a lot of excitement, for about an hour. And then, you know, after that, I went back to my office and I closed the door and I, you know, I put my hands on my face and I started crying. And I don't know, whoever knows me forever, they know I don't cry, no matter what. And I just broke. I just everything came together, and it was a lot of emotions that happened that day. Yeah, it was just a great thing. Yeah, very special day.
And it just shows how much it actually means to you, and the whole passion and the commitment that goes into every single cigar that you make, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have Benji in the room again. Boveda, Benji, welcome.
Benji.
Thanks for your question.
Guten Abend. Hello. Welcome from Berlin, Germany. Hey, Tony. Hello. See, Scott.
What's up, man?
You're also there, right? How are you all? Everybody's fine? Everybody holding up well? Good.
Doing all right.
Good. Well, I have a question. So now with PCA being canceled, you know, Into Tobacco's on the fringe. What do you guys bring new this year? You know, you might as well reveal it now. You know, why not? So what's coming?
You're not gonna get the answer that easy, Benji.
Let's do this all of us together at the same time. Reveal it now. Reveal it now. Reveal it now.
Exactly.
I may or may not be smoking it right now. I'm not, you know, I don't know. I might be.
That's a 2000 anyway. Fuck you.
Not. So we do have a project we were working on, and obviously, you know, this has thrown a wrench into the whole plan. So. I don't know when or how we're going to be able to release it, but at some point this year we'll figure it out. But we got something. I'm not going to tell you what it is, Benji. Not that easily.
Okay.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. I like it.
It better be.
You guys are witnesses.
I
He liked the idea. You guys are all my witnesses. He says he liked the idea. He changed his mind.
The idea of having something new, that's wow.
Benji, many thanks. We appreciate your support. Right, so you heard it on Light 'Em Up first. Nice try, though, Benji. Hope you're well over there in Berlin. I'm also honored to have Steve on the show again from the UK. He had a question about the mystery La Flor Dominicana, which he's smoking at the moment.
Hi there, everybody. Thanks to our host, Reinhard, Tony and Lito. Thanks for your time. I'm smoking a really interesting cigar that I'm very much enjoying. It was gifted by a friend or traded by a friend, and it was available in the shows in 2013. Doesn't have any other markings on the band other than the standard LFD band. I was just wondering whether you remember it, or is there a story behind it? Was it a precursor to something?
That looks to me like it's probably our event only cigar.
Yeah.
We usually have cigars that for the events that are, that we do in the States, that our reps do. We have a cigar that's called the unreleased event only, is the mystery cigar, that you can only buy at LFD events. And it looks to me like that's that. So it's a mystery cigar to you, and it's a mystery cigar to everybody else.
I see. So there is no story behind the blend at all, whether it's an experiment at all?
We can't tell you what the blend is. We've kept it a secret.
This forum is too public. It's too international. It goes everywhere. We have half the world here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
man.
very nice.
They even let Germans in here.
It's good to keep some secrets, right? Speaking of secrets and other things that you share, Lito, you spoke about the farms, and like you moved from having the factory to then developing the farms, and how important would you say was that in the evolution of La Flor Dominicana in order to bring it to the next level, make sure that you have that consistency and the very best quality of tobacco? And a second question to that is, how do you make sure that you have all that amazing tobacco, even if it's from other people and their suppliers, in order to keep the quality and the consistency and the integrity of the tobacco?
Okay, The farm, once I made up my mind that, and I realized that we needed to farm our own tobacco. Then, I went, as I said before, it took me a while, with all my traveling and all my trying to learn from farmers, at least theoretically, the principles of farming and what goes into farming tobacco. Then I made up my mind, and then I went into the area which I like the tobacco from, which is in La Canela, and I found this great piece of land, then I went ahead and I bought the land. Okay, but there was a little problem there because I didn't tell my wife that I purchased a farm. And, my wife is my wife, but she's also my partner, 50%. Okay. And we started the company together. So I didn't tell my partner or my wife, and both, that I purchased a farm. Okay. So I issued a check and I purchased the land. So I can't hide that for a long time. I mean, that check is going to show up at the bank at some point. And so I came back that weekend, like I do every weekend, came back from the Dominican Republic to Miami. And I made reservations at this very fancy restaurant. And I took my wife for dinner. And, that was the day that I was going to break the news to her that I purchased a piece of land to farm tobacco. So we went to, we all dressed up really elegant, and we went to this fancy place. And so I started with my presentation, my wife, what do you think if we start farming our own tobacco? And she gives me this look, like she didn't say anything, she just looked at me. So, I started to make my case, what this is going to mean for the consistency of our cigars. We'll control the production from seeds to the finished cigars, and what it's going to mean for the future and for the quality of our cigars and for the consistency. And, I was speaking for 15 minutes and I was getting worried because she did not interrupt me at all, which is very unusual. So she let me say everything I was going to say. And when I finish, she just looks at me and says, Lito, that is the worst idea you have come up to me in a long time. Okay. And I say, oops, I'm sorry, but guess what? We are farmers already. I just purchased a piece of land and we're going to be farming tobacco. So needless to say, that night I spent a lot of money. I should have picked another restaurant, spent a lot of money, and we ended up in a huge fight. And so no sex for 3 weeks. She was in a pretty bad mood. I still don't understand why. But anyways, fast forward to today. Yes, she realized that was the best decision that I ever made. Okay, since we started the company, being able to farm our own tobacco, it's my guarantee. It is my safety. It is my peace of mind. It is the personality of our cigars. Basically, I mean, 70% of the tobacco and any cigars that we make comes from that farm. And it gives the Flor Dominicana its personality. You may like it, you may hate it, but that's our personality. Okay, that's the flavor profile of the Flor comes from that farm, for the most part. And the peace of mind that I have, just knowing the seeds that I put in the ground, and I saw the tobacco growing, and I know what is going to be in the production pipeline a couple of years later. I know exactly what it is. There's no surprises. And as for the rest, how do we keep, consistently getting the same quality of tobacco? Basically, it's, you have good suppliers. You have suppliers with reputation. There's a lot of people that want to sell our company tobacco, but we don't buy from everybody. We buy only from these companies that we trust and that we can rely on year after year. There's no contracts, there's no signed papers. It's just a handshake, and they know what I want, and I get what I want, and it's year after year, and it's the loyalty, it's the respect that they have for their clients, it's the consistency of the tobacco year after year, and that's because you choose good families that have great reputation to supply your tobacco, and I would not change that for anything. I'm very, very pleased, and it's it took a long time for us to be able to have these companies to sell us tobacco. I mean, I remember back in 1996, I would call these families, these companies, and they wouldn't even answer my phone calls because basically I was a no-name factory. I was nobody in the industry, and so they wouldn't sell me tobacco. They wouldn't pick up the phone, and so it took some time for us to be able to get any of these companies that I'm talking about to sell us tobacco. I mean, you have to have a reputation. You have to build a name before they even attempt to do business with you. And I remember, there's things that happen, at a certain time, and you never find out about it. You never know about it, but years later you find out because you're talking to somebody and they tell you a story from many years ago. Something that somebody said about you, and things that you're not aware of when they're saying it. But there was a time in which in 1990, end of 97, in which the cigar craze here in the United States started to slow down. Okay, and some of the factories that opened, was more than 100 that opened in Dominican Republic only. They started to close, and they started to go out of business. And there was this big question: who's going to stay? After all is said and done, what company is going to stay here? Okay, for the long run. And you will ask. And this is stuff that I found out many, many years later. Everybody was saying La Flor Dominicana. Okay, and this question and this answer that was given to everyone that was asking, it ended up giving us this credibility with these suppliers that they accepted to start doing business with us. So it is a whole process, to be able to get to be in a relationship with this type of companies that you can rely on, that you can trust very much. That year after year, you're gonna have a quality product. So it took a long time, and it took a lot of having the credibility and building up a name in order to access these companies, these suppliers, for sure.
Speaking of tobacco, Abdo had a great question regarding the Cameroon cabinet.
Yeah, so hi Tony, hi Lito, nice to see you again.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Nice to see you. I have actually, it's a question and a story. So I remember when Ryan and I came to visit you in Santiago. Tony picked us up from the hotel. We're driving in your car, Tony, to get to the factory, and then you offered Ryan and I a cigar. And I'll never forget. It was a Cameroon cabinet number 3, a nice, beautiful little cigar, and I have to say it's one of my favorites of LFD. We smoked it on the way to the factory, and Ryan and I just fell over. Right, we didn't expect that kind of experience from that little cigar. Tony, you shared with me the story of that cigar. It would be nice to share in terms of how you got to it and what happened to it, and Just a story about it. I thought it was very interesting.
Well, that cigar is, I mean, as far back as I can remember, that's the cigar that my father smokes. To the point where a lot of people don't even know the name of the cigar. They just call it that little cigar that Lito always smokes. So he'll be able to tell you about it. That's his baby.
It's you know, through for many years, after I stopped smoking, you know, Connecticut shade cigars, then, you know, I switched into Cameroon wrap cigars, Cameroon wrappers, and I just fell in love with the flavor of Cameroon wrappers. It fascinates me. It just does it for my palate. It's very unique. The flavor that Cameroon wrappers bring into a blend, and I just fell in love with it. And then the size, I'm small ring gauge cigar smoker. I very seldom go into a larger ring gauges, so the size can be because of a size preference for me. And so it's I've been smoking that cigar forever, and it has to be my first cigar every day, pretty much. And if I don't have that cigar, if I wake up somewhere and I don't have that cigar that day, I will not smoke. That has to be my first cigar every day. So I make sure that I have it with me all the time. And I can tell you one thing: I will smoke a double hero, and the next cigar is going to be a Cameroon wrap cigar. I smoke a Lanox, and my next cigar is going to be a Cameroon. I continue to go back to my Cameroon after every cigar. Very, you look like George Hamilton.
I can tell you now it's our favorite. My favorite cigar. It's unbelievable. One more thing, in talking about barbers, and Ryan waited for a barber, but I had to do my own haircut. So I hope
you did your own. Oh my God!
You did all right. You did all right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
But I don't know how to tame this beast. This takes a little more skill, I think. I'm not touching it.
Lito and Tony, with like more than 25 years in the industry, and we're speaking about the evolution of La Flor Dominicana. How do you both feel the company has evolved, and what does it mean to you?
I think that's a great question. I think the company has come a long way, man. And in an impressive fashion, my dad was telling the story of how he started all this earlier, and I can't stress enough how absurd of an idea it was for him to do this. It didn't make any sense, When he started this factory, nobody showed up and opened a factory. It was families that were around for generations, and that was it. There was no new players in this world. So to come from it was a little tiny operation. I don't even know if you had a window in the first factory. It was nothing, and what has become of it is amazing. But I think La Flor has always maintained a certain interesting appeal, and a lot of it is due to my father's personality. Like I was saying earlier, I'm the young one, but he's still cooler than me. He's like the coolest guy on the planet, and that's I think that's what La Flor is. Like La Flor it's a cool brand. I think we have awesome packaging and unique ideas, and I think as time has gone by, it's that has blown up even more. So I think that's the way it's evolved, while always maintaining the principles of quality and consistency and all that. And I think it's just become a fun brand. It's become unique, and it's its own thing. LFD it's LFD. It's not nobody. You can say whatever you want about our cigars, maybe you don't like them, whatever, but you can't say LFD tries to imitate anybody or that we don't stand out in some way, because I think we do.
I mean, going from the very beginning. Now today I'm sitting in front of a screen, and there's people from India, there's people from Lebanon, there's people from England, there's people from New York, there's people from Spain, there's people from Boston. I am in disbelief. I mean, it's, remember, I started one day and nobody knew who I was or where I was going, or I didn't know what was going to happen. Okay, and just that, you know, every year, and you know, we will go, you know, I remember we will go to an IPCPR or a PCA, whatever its name is now. Every year, you know, my wife and I will end at the last day of the show. We'll always say, this was better than last year. And it was better, not because we sold more cigars in the show, at the show. It was better because of the comments and the things that we heard during the show from our customers, from the people in the trade, from colleagues. Every year we felt better than the year before. And it's just like, it's something that you see grow. You making it grow, but you see it grow. It's your baby. It's like, you know, you created something, and you see it grow every year, and you see the that you're being more accepted and you're being more recognized, and you know it. But we have seen this, like, you know, and you know, we were, Ines and I were talking the other day, and you know, we yesterday actually, because we found out that, you know, they canceled PCA, and you know, we were talking, going back in memory, and talking about, you know, how every year, you know, we felt that there was an improvement in the name of our company. The name was growing, the company was being more recognized, and you know, and then, you know, a few years back, when we started with international markets, all the way to today, this screen that is in front of me, it's just, it makes me extremely happy, and I didn't know 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that I was going to be doing this today. I wasn't sure. It's just do the best you can every day of your workday. And, you know, you do the best you can every month, every week, every year. And then, you know, suddenly, you know, I'm sitting here in front of all of you. And I wasn't planning on doing this. I was just doing, you know, try to do better this year than I was the year before. That's the only thing I've been doing, trying to do. And so the evolution of our company, it's been unbelievable, and I'm very blessed, and I just couldn't be any more happy for it. And this screen in front of me just says it all.
Another question that we had comes
to all of you.
We have to thank you, Lito and Tony. We're blessed to have you. Scott over in Scotland has a question for us.
My boy.
Gentlemen, how you doing? Fantastic evening. It's really been fascinating, and I'm really, really glad that you've shared your time with us tonight.
Scott, so, have you really read all those books behind you?
That's just a picture. I've got two children who went pretty educated. Okay, yeah, I just read the comics. So the question I was going to ask you is leading on for your evolution. Last year, you guys designed the gold cutter with the jewels, and going back to Lito's origins of jewelry. Is that something you guys see developing for the Flor Dominicana in the future?
Yes. Yes.
Can you expand on that?
Yes. Yeah. It's whenever you can elevate. It's cigars are a luxury, and cigar accessories are luxurious. And if you can always elevate accessories a little bit in some form of fashion, it's just good. It's just good fun for the industry. I think every time you can elevate or lift, raise the bar a little bit, it's just better for the whole industry, for sure.
So if you're looking for a brand ambassador, please send me your samples.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, brilliant. Thank you. Lovely to see you, and the best at Innis.
Thank you, Scott.
Gentlemen, I thoroughly enjoy a conversation. It's been such an amazing evening sharing all these stories with you, sharing a wonderful cigar together. I once read this wonderful statement of Tony where he said, Lito, you might be Tony's father, but now you're also his business partner and you are his best friend, right? And so I just wanted to ask the both of you, what's going to be installed for the future, and how do you feel after that journey for you both professionally and personally?
I obviously, I think the future's bright. Obviously we're having a little bit of a roadblock right now, but we'll all get through it eventually. And I don't see anything stopping LFD from moving forward, expanding into more markets that we were talking about, continuing to innovate any way we can, and just having fun with it, man, because that's what it's about for me. And I think, for my father too, it's just having fun. This is, it's a labor of love, and we get to express ourselves in a very unique way, in a very cool way. And LFD is gonna keep moving forward, without a doubt. And what was the second question?
That was pretty much it. And I guess, we don't have to go any further in what it means to you personally, because it truly showed throughout the entire conversation. And it's fantastic just to see how the both of you work together, and the enthusiasm and the passion and commitment that you bring to the table.
Yeah, you ready for my answer?
Yeah.
I'll just continue to, me and my wife and Tony, we will continue to do what we do. And then, whatever happens with the future will be the result of what we do every day. And there's one thing, and you learn as you go. Sometimes people, they tell you things that you don't understand when you hear them, but then you figure them out later. The importance of what we do, I tell you a story. One day I was in Atlanta in a cigar shop, in a cigar event at a shop, okay? And, this guy, he approaches me and, he says hi, he shakes my hand. He was with his son, he was about 19 years old. And he told me, Mr. Gomez, I drove for an hour and a half. I really wanted to meet you. So, that's amazing. Thank you for coming. And then, he pulls out a cigar from his pocket, and he tells me, I just wanted to tell you that for the last 15 years of my life, I smoke one of these cigars every day. And, I got very happy immediately for what he told me, and the fact that we didn't disappoint him in 15 years. And then, the event was over, I went to dinner, then I went to the hotel, and I just couldn't stop thinking about what the guy told me. And then, you know, after thinking, you know, I was at the hotel and I couldn't fall asleep, and I'm thinking, basically, you know, this guy knows that cigar better than I do. He smokes it every day. And he expects something from that cigar. And I have to give it to him. He made me understand that I work for him. That is the person that I work for, him and many others. And I have that responsibility with every cigar smoker that, you know, that goes to a cigar shop and chooses La Flor Dominicana to smoke. And I tell my rollers, and I remind them, you know, every now and then, you know, you're not just rolling tobacco leaves. You're making a special product. And right now, this very moment, somebody, somewhere in the world, maybe by himself or maybe with friends, is going to light up one of the cigars that you made. And your responsibility, my obligation, and yours is not to fuck that moment up. We can't ruin that moment. That's our responsibility. That's our obligation. Because that guy, and I tell my rollers, that is the guy that pays your salary. I'm just a middle guy. The day that you disappoint that guy, then you don't get a salary. Then it's over. So we work for those people. And I will continue to do so. And it makes me, you know, you have no idea, you know, get in my car and, you know, get to the office and, you know, I start looking through my phone and, you know, I get a message from a guy in Italy saying, Maestro, grazie. And he sends me a picture smoking one of our cigars. And then I get another guy from Venezuela sending me a message, you know, that he's smoking one of our cigars. And, you know, you have no idea what that means to me. I mean, that fills up my life. That's my paycheck. That's what feeds my energy every day. Okay. So I'll continue to do that because I enjoy the hell out of it.
That's just amazing.
I don't want to lose that shit, man, ever.
That's fantastic. We have one more question from Javier. It's a pleasure to have you on the call.
Hello all. Greetings from Madrid. Hello, Tony, Lito. It's a pleasure to listen to you. You know, I support you here in Spain as much as I can. Not only because I like your cigars, but because I think that La Flor Dominicana is a window open, and it's new and fresh, and I like that a lot. I want to remember you, Lito, that last time you came to Madrid, that was last year in June or May, I don't remember. We talk about lobbying and the necessity of splitting of cigarette industry from cigar industry in order to have a more fair legislation for our products. And you told me something about a report you were thinking about doing, and I wanted to know how is this issue, if you have gone on with that, and if you have any results that maybe can be interesting.
Guys, let me interrupt real quick. We have a curfew here in Dominican Republic, so we can't be outside after a certain time. So I got to leave the factory now and start heading home. So sorry I have to leave a little bit early, but thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure, and let's do it again sometime.
Tony, thank you so much.
Stay safe, brother.
Many thanks.
Take
for
care.
Don't get in trouble.
I can't go outside. Bye, guys.
Take
care, Tony.
Javier, you know, there's many things that people don't know about cigars. Okay, the whole propaganda, for decades, the propaganda is against smoking in general, and they don't distinguish between cigarette and cigars. And the whole conception or perception of the public out there that smoking is smoking, and there's no difference between a cigarette and a cigar. And there's many studies that have been made already, okay, about cigars, okay, and in none of the studies there's any proof that we are poisoning people, okay. The fact that children don't smoke, okay, the fact that, we don't advertise to children, that, high school boys, that they don't buy premium cigars, they don't smoke premium cigars. This is an adult pleasure, okay. The fact that people don't inhale cigars, the fact that, the average cigar smoking is very small daily. All the studies, a monogram 9 study that proves that a cigar smoker and a non-smoker, there is no mortality rate difference in the statistics. Okay, there's a lot of things that people don't know about cigars. Okay, we have not transferred this information, okay, to the general public. And what I was working on, and I have all the material ready to go and start printing and put it in a digital format with naming every study that has been made about cigars, okay, and how we are different. And it's going to be good for politicians. It's going to be good for everybody as an information. It's going to be good for the wives of some of you that say, are you going to smoke again? Okay, so now they can have they can go and they look at the studies. I can link the studies, okay, where they can see what a cigar is, instead of telling you that you're going to die just because you smoke a cigar. Okay, the information about secondhand, smoking, that's always been bullshit. I could have been dead 20 years ago if that would cause any problems in your health. Okay, all this shit is all in studies that, in things that were found out through studies. Okay, all legitimate, made by institutions, respectable institutions. And that has to be something that people can see, and our families can see, my children can see. Okay, because they hear about smoking, and that's all they hear, and they cannot, they don't have a place in which they can see the whole difference. That you can open a small brochure with three faces, and you can see and have all the studies, not as an advertising or a propaganda thing, but just as an information piece. This is where you can go and find out what it is about a cigar. So yeah, it's coming.
Awesome. Amazing. Many thanks, Javier, for the question, and many thanks, Lito. It's been
Thank
such a
you,
wonderful...
Rainy. Just to say, Lito, as I told him in Madrid when we were together last year, that you can stand by me with this totally. I support you in this too. You are right. I agree with you. And anything I can do to help you with this report, please stand by me.
Thank you, Javier.
Many thanks. Gentlemen, ladies, it's been such a wonderful evening. I would like to thank you all for this fantastic opportunity. Thanks to Tony and Lito for taking the time. Many thanks to Bruce Bush, who has a fabulous new YouTube channel, for actually putting us in contact and setting us up for tonight's show. Check out Bruce's new YouTube channel. Big shout out to you, brother.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. It has been...
Thank you, Lito.
Fun. It has been a pleasure. It has been awesome to have you in front of me.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful opportunity. I just
Really
wanted to let
appreciate
you all know that we also have an amazing schedule coming up with many more exciting sessions. On Sunday, we will have Omar from Fratello Cigars joining us, which is going to be super exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that. And then next week, we have Sébastien Decopé from Cavalier Cigars. We have Phil Sanghi from Debonair, and on next Friday, then David Blanco will be joining us. So many more exciting sessions, but today has been absolutely tremendous. Tony Gomez, Lito Gomez, thanks for everything that you shared with us. Lito, it's incredible to see your passion, your commitment, and the way you think about this industry. I couldn't thank you enough for everything that you're doing, and please keep delighting us with your wonderful work and your cigars. All the very best to you. Stay
Thank you
safe,
very much.
and we'll
Thank
see
you, Lito.
soon.
Thank you very much. All the best. Take care of
Thank you,
yourself.
Lito.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you, Reinhard.